Gadget Repairs Fife. Fast, professional, local. Subscribe for more tech fixes and tips.
Welcome back, everybody. It's nice to see you all, albeit that I can't see you, but hopefully you can see me here. It's been a while since my last video upload, and hopefully this is going to be the start of something new. Been getting involved in quite an awful lot of different projects and things like that, hence the new premises, new workshop's been built for me, fully kitted out with everything that I need. But I've also been implementing a lot of different projects in that as well, i.e. 3D printing, heat press work, vinyl work. Firstly, I can't show you absolutely everything here because the camera's static, but certainly over the course of the next wee while I will start to upload more content based on everything that's in this workshop. However, the main reason for this video, as you'll see for the caption, PS5, small on one, having a few issues in that with HDMI signal dropping out. Manoeuvring the cable seems to bring it back again, and I'll play for quite a while, then you get a bit of kind of excuse me, quite a bit of glitching and all that, few artifacts not on the screen, then it comes back on and it's absolutely fine. Does seem to be simple HDMI port issue. Whether or not it's repair the existing one that's in it or do a complete replacement, I'm more than likely to do a replacement on it, purely because I've got the equipment there, I've got everything I need for to do it, and in the meantime I'll do a bit of a clean up on the system as well, because it's not been serviced yet, it's not a complete, it's never been opened before, so this will be its first time. But without further ado, let's get started. Right, let's get started with the teardown on this. First of all, I need to start off with removing the base. It's a simple flat-headed screw in the bottom there. Yeah, you can already see the dust that's been accumulating on the base already. So get down the rest of this now. Not that bad. But this is going to be the fun part, is getting these lights back off again because they're stuck down. But take the shields off there. We're going to have to try and re-stick these back down when this is done. Saying that, I could probably take that shield off altogether without it. So let's get our Torx bits. T10 Torx bit. T10. Thinking probably better off going to the manual screwdriver just to get used to this electronic one. There we go, that's better. A bit of dropping down a bit. T9 for some reason. That's better. Perfect, so that plate will just come straight off with it, disconnect anything else. So probably going to have an issue with the other side because it's stuck down as well. But let's see, let me take this here. That plate's off, it's fine. Oh yeah, see an awful lot of dust on this side now, that's for sure. It's not a big deal if these lights don't work afterwards, but I'd rather try and keep them if I can, purely for the aesthetics of the plates that I've put on. But yeah, they're all coming off there, so that's fine. A couple of blue dots, I'll put that back on again. And back to there. Right, so we can get started with this side bit. So one thing I don't want to do is cause any issues with cables, connectors, because these can break. So take that cover off of there. As I said, this has never been opened before, so it's always nice to get into a new console. Screw it for the cover for the SSD. As you see, I don't have one yet, but I will be at some point. We'll get these top covers. The top screws out so I can get the top cover off. One final screw underneath the warranty seal. Back of it there. Take that. That's all the screws off there for the plate. I want to take this connector out for the fan, which to move that for there. There we go. That's that out. One fan off. Disconnect the Blu-ray drive connector as well from both sides. So this can come off with the plate. So that's in there. I wouldn't recommend wiggling that from the cables. You need to be able to grab the connector. However, I've done this quite a few times, so I am used to it. And one cover is off. Quite dusty on the inside here, so I'll be glad to get this system cleaned up. The Wi-Fi antennas, the Wi-Fi antenna cables out, ribbons for the front panel, the drive panel, that should just lift off of there. Hopefully get this off without tearing the cover too much. There we go, one drive removed. Now for the front antenna cables, disconnect them. To there. As you'll see the way that they're routed, should be able to get cables out from underneath. And then without tearing them. makes it a lot tidier for going back in again and the rebuild. Contour. This one should lift up for there, for there. Now to remove all these totally necessary screws. I'll come back once I've got them out. Yeah, so that certainly took a lot longer than what was necessary, but let's just get the rest of this out. And it says I've got all the screws removed. Sorry, no I don't. I've got a couple left here, so I'll get them now out. That's it in there. Now this top plate should just come off. It will be stuck on a little bit, but no mate. One last bit here. Last screw there. Now this top plate could come up. It'll be stuck underneath with the thermal paste that's there. What we need to do now is remove 2 screws for the APU clamp. For them removed. APU clamp off. Take the connector for the front USB ports, and that looks like everything. All screws removed, the rings off there. That's fine. Now we just need to get the motherboard removed, which once again is something that will be stuck ever so slightly, but a little bit of gentle persuasion, and then comes off. We'll get a first look at the other side of this board. Yeah, got a few dry spots there as well on the APU, some on here as well, so we'll get all that cleaned up, get the liquid metal and that reflowed as well, so that'll be fine. Just put this to the side for the time being. Right, so looking at this HDMI port, which I'll bring over to the recording for the microscope. So I'm going to include the video from the digital microscope, however I don't have a HDMI output connection for this at the moment. That is something I'm going to be working on, but in the meantime I'm just going to quickly check the pins in the bottom of this HDMI port, if any of them for being loose at all. Excuse the shaky camera from the video. So none of those pins are loose on the actual board itself, so I'm going to think that it's an internal issue with the port. So as I say, we'll do a full HDMI port replacement. We'll come back to that. So in order to get this port off, I'm going to hit the board foot underneath, or hit the port foot underneath, just going by the full speed setting and full temperature setting that my heat gun will allow, which currently at the moment is 480 degrees. I'm looking at getting a desktop style heat gun, basically a full soldering station, but until then we do the tools that we've got, which has certainly worked for me already. We just keep heating this up until the old solder melts. You don't want to pull this up too early or you'll rip some of the pads, and that's something I really can't be dealing with now, is dealing with trace damage. I've certainly done it before, certainly done trace repairs before, but I'm not keen on doing them, and it's not totally necessary. Let's get this done. Keep that heat moving around. I'd certainly say with a better heat station that this would make the process go a lot quicker. These boards are pretty thick, so it does take quite a lot of heat to get through to then actually start to melt the solder. And then once we've done that, once we've got it off, we'll be able to apply some fresh leaded solder, which will certainly lower the melting temperature as well. A bit of movement in that pot. Starting to feel it moving now. It should be ready to lift just now. There we go. And as you see, no damaged pads. Let's get this cleaned up. So yeah, as I said, no signs of any trace damage at all. The one thing we don't want to lose is this little capacitor here. Dials and all that are absolutely fine. Flip the board over and just have a wee look at the underneath as well. A few components on here that we certainly don't want to lose either, and yeah, they're all intact as well. All dialed here, capacitor here, they're absolutely fine. If they drop off, then it's game over till I get a replacement, but as I said, we don't need that. So at this point I'm going to install some flips over the top of all the pins. Or sorry, all the traces. Just helps the solder flow. And into these ground holes as well. And I'll add some fresh leaded solder. That as well. Don't worry about there being bridges on here, because it'll all be cleaned up using some solder wick as well. It's got a large tip I'm using as well, so that probably doesn't help matters. And mixed in with old unleaded solder. Coming with the soldering wick. Just wick away those pads, get the pads cleaned up. Once again, just being careful not to get that capacitor. Get the rest of this solder removed from those pads. Hands are pretty shaky tonight. There we go. Just add some into these ground holes, and what we'll do is use the solder sucker to remove the solder for the ground holes, make it easier to get the replacement port in. Right. Saying that, might even just leave the solder that's in those ground holes. Just add some fresh solder to the pads. A bit of flux again. Tip of the iron. See those pads starting to look nice and shiny again. That just allows the solder to join, which I'll then put into the replacement port, which I'll go and grab that just now. So what we're going to do here, again, heat the board up from the bottom, and then once you see that solder starts to melt, got the solder that's here on the ground legs. Once that drops through, then that means that the port is then ready to drop into place. So let's heat up. Should also then start to see the solder on the pads start to melt as well. Cool, that's 1, 2. Bigger boards will take a little bit longer. Just keep circulating that up. Circulating the heat, should I say. That's 3. That big blob should be through. We're coming through just about now. There we go. See him. Just going to come on layer. Try again. Support drop through. Circulate a little bit more heat around that. Make sure we can get this port to sit where it needs to sit. Keep that held in place for now. Now we'll just inspect the pins from the other side. Flip the board round. See what the pins are like. Just pull down the top. and I would say that all those pins are soldered really nicely. But I will just quickly go over them off camera just to make sure that they are all secure, and then we can see about getting this rebuilt. So after checking all the pins, every one of them's solid on there as well. So I'm just going to see about getting the rest of this all tidied up, get the rebuild done on it, and I'll see you in the back. So just a quick shot of the APU showing the liquid metal all cleaned up. No more dry spots on there, so this console should be good to run for another little while again. So I've built this back up again just purely for testing purposes and for the purpose of this video. So here we go. Power on. So do we get anything on the screen? Yes, we do. And just to show you as well, the cable, a good wiggle. The image stays perfect on the screen. So there we have it. So repair being done on the PlayStation, as you can still hear the tune in the background playing. Got to switch it off, to be fair. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to go and give it a strip down, clean out all the dust and all that from it, and that's another one saved as well. So I hope you liked the video, and if you do like this type of content, please give me a like and subscribe. Till next time, goodbye.